winner will meet the reigning PBA Player of the Year in his third consecutive finals, Amleto Monacelli. The semifinal match features the man who has won this tournament twice, Hugh Miller of Seattle. And our tournament leader is six-time champion Don Genalo, appearing for the second consecutive week. That's our outstanding field for today's Professional Bowlers Tour telecast. You're looking at the skyline of Big D, Dallas, Texas. We're in the Metroplex area, where once all the surrounding land was ranch land. We've come to the friendly city of Grand Prairie, Texas, an all-American city. Hello again, I'm Chris Schenkel. A few weeks ago, I arrived at the bowling establishment in a 400-horsepower Chevrolet Corvette. So why not with a 10-year-old beautiful quarter horse named McDade? I love him. Isn't he beautiful? Well, they say here in Texas, the outside of a horse makes the inside of a man feel good, and that is so true. And speaking of inside, my colleague Tonto Burton is there to tell us about today's field and today's condition. Let's go. Come on, Dave.
Thank you, Chris. There's an overflow crowd here at the Forum Bowl in Grand Prairie, Texas. We're just a few moments away from the first shot in the 1990 Quaker State Finals. But before we get into that championship game, I'd like to reflect on a little bit of the history of this tournament. There's been 5 first-time winners here at the Quaker State, and the most memorable moment was in 1988 when Bob Benoit bowled the only 300-game shot in the title match here in 1988. Now, the players in today's field are capable of that type of action. We have a national champion, Pedersen, in the first match, and the dominant player, Monacelli, making his third consecutive appearance, is in the second match. So he's going to be very tough against whoever he bowls. It may be Don Genalo at the top, who's tough to win to win a tournament from. And you know what? Let's take a look at the lane conditions we have today on today's championship round. First, you see the light colored part of the lane. Now that looks like it's a drier or slicker part of the lane, but it's not. That's the maple wood, and it matches the pine. And the amateurs usually bowl on 24 feet of oil, and that's just past the arrows. Now what the pros bowl on today is 41 feet of oil, and it's all very slick in this area. And then now, with the angle they're playing, is Monacelli's playing the big hook out to the first arrow, and then right down the second arrow is Genalo, and finally Hugh Miller will be playing the left side down the left side, Chris, and it's an extreme angle, and there's a lot of money available for these players.
A total purse of $150,000. You see the breakdown, 28 to the winner, 14-5, 85-7, and 6. So in the next 4 matches, live coverage from the Forum, the bowling establishment with chandeliers. And here's a guy that's appreciative of all types of living, including chandelier and champagne. Randy Pedersen of California, shooting first. He's on the left lane. Beautiful stroke by the 27-year-old. Now our first opportunity, Nelson, on television to meet 29-year-old Tim Weisbrod of Cincinnati, Ohio, a city that's always been known for bowling enthusiasm.
Well, he was an outstanding amateur, Chris. He won over $75,000 in the Oinky tournament held there in Cincinnati, and then he decided to turn pro.
All but the 7-pin for the professional who's looking for his first money earned here in 1990.
Tim, when he first came out on the tour, Chris, making the change from amateur status to pro status, was just not ready. He really struggled with speed control, and he tried to play everybody else's game. He's much sharper right now.
Okay, marking with that spare. So 1 frame completed by both professionals. Tim Weisbrod, he's 6'1", 150 pounds. Very enthusiastic about being in this spot as a non-winner. We're having some technical difficulty, and our usual graphics that help you in enjoying this not working at the moment. So now 2 and sleeper 8 for the Ohioan.
Weisbrod basically started as a junior bowler. At age 9, he joined a junior league, and he averaged 105 his first year, so quite an improvement as he averaged almost 220 to make the championship round this week.
He and his roommate, Jim Miller, the only two pros this week that shot perfect 300 games. Pair of spares for Weisbrod of Cincinnati. Now back to Santa Maria's Randy Pedersen. Won the national championship of the PBA, 1987 in Toledo. 13th television appearance.
Something a little off stride. He may have either picked up the wrong ball or his thumb hole was a little bit slippery as he pushed the ball away. Randy gets in that swing very early. The 25-second time rule basically will not be in effect if there's something that goes awry. There is a little forgiveness there, but pro bowlers have 25 seconds to throw the ball from the time their opponent finishes his frame.
Overcoming a slight disruption, Randy Pedersen, 7 championships.
Here's the form of Randy Pedersen, and notice the pronounced push away, then the very high bag swing. So he's a very relaxed swing, then he'll tuck that swing in nice right next to his left ankle. The good lift and turn you see he's playing around the first arrow, swinging it out to the channel. He's off to a quick start with 2 strikes.
Randy, who won the Japan Cup last year, defeating Amleto Monacelli, whom you'll see on our telecast today. Well, he didn't trip the 4.
The championship pair, 39 and 40 here at Forum Lanes, is well known by all the players. We've been bowling here since 1975, and the left-hand lane hooks a little bit more as you see the angle of Randy Pedersen. Rolls that ball over the first arrow, gets a little bit high, leaves the 4. Easy spare.
We're in Grand Prairie, Texas, not too far from Fort Worth, where the Southwest Exposition and Fat Cattle Show is taking place, along with rodeos. You'll see some excerpts of that as we go in and out of commercials today. It's an important part of the culture, the history of the great Southwest. So Tim now, 4, 6, 7, 10.
Well, Tim off to just a slow start, a little bit tentative, and he has to keep his ball speed up or he'll be high every time. So he has to try to just knock 2 of these pins back and hopefully can bounce one out of the pit.
Hello, but the 4. And 17 miles an hour, Bo, that's not very fast.
Not fast for a spare shot, especially, Chris. The good players keep the ball 18, 19, even 20 miles an hour in their first shot. That helps the ball, what we call set up or control the ball in the last 15 feet so it doesn't hook too much. Tim, a little tentative in the early going here, has gotten himself in big trouble. He trails by 26.
Come on, ball.
Well, he left the 10 pin on the left lane.
The style of Weisbrod on the left lane, sends it out over the second arrow. Now watch, this is what we call the swishing 7-10. He blows the 5 pin in front of the 7, just avoids the split.
ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour will be back after this message and a word from our local ABC station. We're back again at the Forum Lanes in Grand Prairie, Texas for the 14th Quaker State Open. Randy Pedersen in that bright red shirt has a 26-pin lead over Tim Weisbrod of Cincinnati. And now we're happy to see our graphics starting to show up on your screens at home to help you with scores, identification, etc. Randy opened with a double and marked with a spare, and his shouting as he is mic'd, you can hear everything he says. You can practically hear him breathe. Wonderful guy, funny guy.
What a great break he got on that shot. The ball drifted high, almost had the 4-6 split. The 3-pin took out the 6, and the 2-pin took out the 4. Off to a quick lead, can make it 36 pins with another strike here in the 5th.
Gotta hurt. Gotta hurt.
So with a 36-pin lead, he has a right to be happy and enthusiastic. Randy Pedersen. Now Tim Weisbrod. 160 started earlier this week. There are 22 left-handers. One of them is in our final. His name is Hugh Miller, finishing number 2 behind the tournament leader, Don Genalo. That should help him relax. His first strike coming in the 5th frame.
Weisbrod, who bowled Walter Ray Williams Jr. in the 42nd game last night to earn the right to be in the championship round today, bowled a 250 against Walter Ray. So when he gets his confidence going, he can be very tough. He needs to get a couple of strikes here, put some pressure on Randy Pedersen.
Come on, ball.
All right. Big double. Cutting the lead to 26 pins, but Red Hot Randy, shirt included, is back up with a double, shooting in the 6th frame on the right lane.
Little psych job going out there. You saw Randy Pedersen run out that strike in the 5th. Weisbrod with his double there in the 6th kind of pointed his finger at Randy. So the game is on.
So confident today. Just walking away, knowing full well it was going to be a perfect pocket hit.
And the look he gave Tim Weisbrod, who is looking down at the 4, Randy kind of said, take that. So a little more action going on than just with the pins. Randy can make that lead 46 with one more strike here in the 7th.
Always animated, showing his professional skills here in our very first game with a 46-pin lead. There they are, big names and big money winners. Numbers 1 and 2, all-time PBA. Mark Roth on the left, Marshall Holman on the right. Hope to have an opportunity to visit with them a little later on, Bo.
And both of those players have won the Quaker State Open. Now Tim Weisbrod up here, he trails by 46, has 2 strikes up. Needs to keep his string going to close the difference between he and Randy Pedersen.
Big 5.
Terrible high hit, leading the 4, 6, 7, 9, 10.
Well, some people call that the toughest split we have as he cuts high. And really the way to make this, Chris, is to try to get this. You see the ball cut right through the heart, is try to slide that 4-pin over into the 6, 9, 10 area. And I think Tim's going to try that attack because he does need to make this to stay in the match. Trouble.
And coming in the 7th frame of this, our very first game, the winner will advance and will meet Amleto Monacelli, who continues to practice and warm up.
Chris, explain the 25-second rule of the PBA. When Tim Weisbrod's ball came back on the left-hand lane, he has 25 seconds to throw the ball.
That was an 8th frame strike.
Now for the player on the right-hand lane, which is Randy Pedersen, he has 25 seconds to roll the ball after his opponent finishes the frame. So it's different on the right-hand lane as the left-hand lane. A good rule.
And Randy has now strung 5 in a row here in our first match. 3-time winner last year, including the AC Delco Classic at Gable House in Torrance, California. As we mentioned earlier, the Japan Cup and the Budweiser Classic in Miami, Florida. Make it 6 in a most impressive opening performance.
Possible 279 for Randy Pedersen. The best Tim can roll is 202.
leaving a 610 for the man that is going to earn more money today than he ever has. Speaking of Weisbrod, he'll get $6,000.
Pretty good paycheck.
Sure.
That slid by.
So chopping the 10 off the 6, but it's another step in his education. But he met a red hot Randy Pedersen. The Don Carter Classic, that's next Saturday in Kenner, Louisiana, a suburb of New Orleans. Always good to get back there and see Pete Fountain.
Good high-scoring house, too, Chris.
Ron Voss will be there to defend his championship. Del Ballard,
Goodbye today, boys.
who was champion here in Grand Prairie, tied for 30th, then having some back problems. So Randy Pedersen of California will go against Venezuela's Amleto Monacelli in our second game of our afternoon in Texas. Randy Pedersen of California leaving the 10, fired at 268 to Tim Weisbrod, 156, and now he meets another red-hot bowler named Amleto Monacelli. Here's some basketball scores. The final: 6th-ranked Georgetown over arch rival St. John, 74-67. And the 7th-ranked Syracuse still staying high and good, 90-69 over Florida State. We have Budweiser Kingpin standings and points. Players finishing among the top 24 will be awarded points, and as you see, first place 125, second 100, and so on down the line, with 10 bonus points going to the tournament leader. At this point, as we're in our 4th week of telecast, David Husted 205, Marshall Holman 160, Monacelli, who'll be bowling next, 150. So we're going now with Monacelli and Randy Pedersen. Randy again winning 268 to 156, and Monacelli will fire first, the PBA Player of the Year last year.
The last 2 times these fellows have met in the championship round, Randy Pedersen has won.
Leaving a 4-pin, Amleto, who was 3rd last week at the Pinole Open and 4th at the Showboat Invitational in Las Vegas.
Looking for another bowling ball with a lower surface friction to convert to spare. Monacelli has improved his spare making with a much different style to his spares. He throws the ball hard and straight, cuts down the hook.
So this is like a rematch of the past year's Japan Cup, where Randy won it, defeating Monacelli. Monacelli having won the Japan Cup for his very first of 6 titles. So here they go head-to-head again, and that's our format, step-ladder format. You win, you advance, you lose, you take your check and leave. Ten-pin on the right lane.
The first solid tap that we've seen in this championship round so far, and that's what's made the scores so high in recent years here on lanes 39 and 40. The ability to carry. The pocket is relatively easy to hit from any angle. You see Monacelli playing the big hook, Pedersen the down and in shot.
Quaker State Open, which each year benefits the Texas Scottish Rites Hospital for crippled children. Over $150,000 thus far developed for that very needed facility. And they do such a great job. And here a youngster did this drawing and was presented to me last night. Well, we love them too, and we thank them for doing that they like the Professional Bowlers Tour.
That's great.
A 710 for Randy Pedersen, who earlier in the week converted a 710 right here.
He calls it the swishing 710. The ball hits light in the pocket, an apparent good hit, and it knocks the 5-pin in front of the 7. The 6 chops off the 10. And his technique to try to make it, once again, will be throw it hard and straight at the 10-pin, hopefully bounce it out.
Oh.
See that pin
Yes,
coming
it
up?
did.
That's how Roth made it years ago.
And Mark Roth, along with Marshall Holman, watching here live along with you. And they have great admiration for Amleto Monacelli and Randy. Here as Amleto now. spare up second frame. That was a typical Monacelli strike, wasn't it?
He has that big hook ball working. He just concentrating, working on his game. He's really a dedicated athlete. Amleto weighed over 200 pounds about 8 or 9 years ago, and he took up jogging, running, and obviously a lot of bowling, and he's down to 150 in top condition, but he maintains that conditioning through running and weightlifting. Top player in the world right now.
A 10-pin for the man that finished strong in '89, winning back-to-back titles, but 5 times he's been in the top 10 in the last 14 tournaments. That's consistency.
That's domination. 2 other times he was 6th and just barely got knocked out of the top 5.
Huge crowd here. Grand Prairie to Foreign Lanes. You couldn't pack in any more. That's how much they appreciate the Quaker State Open and the sport of professional bowling. Here's one of the reasons. Colorful Randy Pedersen, trailing now by 13.
Once again, something bothered Randy. Now, in the first game, we saw him stop, and he said he thought he heard a noise. Now, the second time he stopped, there's apparently something wrong with his thumb hole, and there's not really much you can do about it. He's smarter to stop and wait.
Get your head in the game.
Hear that? Get your head in the game.
How about striking?
And even though he struck, he did get a warning, Nelson, on the 25-second rule.
Right, Chris, as we said before, the player on the right-hand lane has 25 seconds to roll the ball as soon as the opponent finishes his frame. Now, Randy here has 25 seconds to roll the ball from the time his ball came back. Now, he's taking a re-rack, and that will affect his 25 seconds. If he gets warned again, he will not be warned. He will be fined $100.
Remember now, he has that strike up. He can cut Monacelli's lead to 3.
God. Hook, please.
Okay. A very close second game. 3 pins separating these 2 pros. We'll be back. Yes, to the Crescent City next week for the Don Carter Classic. All right, final score, 4th-ranked Michigan over Big Ten rival Wisconsin, 77-63. Big Ten battle tomorrow here on ABC. Indiana, Illinois.
Number 11 against number 22. Now, Monacelli leads by 3.
Crossing over to Barquisimeto, Venezuela. That's where Teresa, his wife, is from as well. Pretty lady. He relies on her a great deal.
Well, it's important to have a lot of support while you're out here on the tour. Tough life sometimes. Now, Monacelli had a good pocket hit in the first frame, left a 4-pin, strike in the second, 10-pin in the third, got the great break in the fourth. As you see the full grip of Monacelli, he can extend his lead to 13 here in the fifth.
All but a 10. 14th Quaker State Open.
Chris, Monacelli is going to have trouble with that big hook today. It's what is happening is it's rolling out. You can hook the ball and bring it a long way, but it has to continue hooking. His ball is quitting or straightening out the last 5 feet, and that makes it somewhat ineffective, and that's why he left that 10-pin.
Monacelli in blue, Pedersen in red. Randy with a double up can take the lead now, shooting in the 5th frame. Warned once on the 25-second limit.
Stay out!
Oh, what a break.
How about that?
Oh, now tell me about that one.
Well, that's the second time Randy's had a shot like that. As you see from the overhead view, he's playing a medium line, sliding about the center of the lane, starting it out over the first arrow. Now watch the action of the 3-pin and the 2-pin. There's the 2-pin to the left sideboard, the 3-pin to the right sideboard. Takes out the 4-6 split and allows him to take a 7-pin lead.
All right, he's moved to the left side now. Where last time there he took a re-rack. Nelson, this being our 29th season for the Professional Bowlers Tour on ABC, do you realize 27-year-old Randy Pedersen and 28-year-old Monacelli weren't even born when we started? Oh, no.
Well, they're really benefactors of the forerunners of this game, the Don Carters and the Dick Webbers, who made it so good for these young players today.
Bo Burton with 17 titles and in 2 Halls of Fame had a lot to do with it, too.
Well, thank you. Once again, watching Monacelli's ball. See it just hanging on the edge. Now watch it. Hook, hook, hook. Now start to straighten out just a little bit at the end there, and it leaves the 4-pin. He needs a little more ball speed, something like Randy Pedersen's using, as Monacelli's only 14 miles an hour. That's awfully slow.
Physically conditioned. Probably if he were a boxer, his trainers would love him because he would be fit. And that's all they can ask when they step through the ropes, which will be happening on ABC today, Wide World of Sports. Broadcast premiere, Cooney.
Well, Cooney and Foreman. And then I like the McCallum and Collins fight, Chris. You're going to have to pick a winner for me there. Tough fight.
I'm going to have an upset. Undefeated Irish Stevie Collins from Boston.
Sounds good.
Beautiful shot by Monacelli. Strike coming in the 7th frame. Still trailing by 18 pins. More after this. Okay, Cooney, Foreman, McCallum, Collins, and Bill Shoemaker's last ride. It's not the last ride for these 2 pros. While we're away, as we're running behind our allotted time schedule, Randy Pedersen left a 7-pin, covered it, then in the 8th frame with a strike, still leading by 17. Strike up, though, for Monacelli.
Just startling, Chris. He's rolling the ball 15, 16 miles an hour, and that time it was just 14 miles an hour. It shows you how important to maintain a consistent speed, especially up at the 16, 17, 18 level. Monacelli does not have control of that big hook today. He needs to, and there's the radar gun that is timing those shots.
All right. I guess similar equipment on the highways around America, too.
I'll bet everybody knows a little bit about those. Now, for Monacelli coming up in the 9th frame, he trails Randy Pedersen, who's a tough customer, by 17 pins. Monacelli has a possible 219 game, Pedersen going at a 216 clip. So it's a must situation right now for Monacelli.
All right. Beautiful foundation strike. And, Bo, I guess it's fitting that our radar gun is being manned today by one of Fort Worth's finest detectives.
Well, I'm glad it isn't the Arlington Police. I had they've worked well on me a couple years ago.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Are you a speeder?
Not really. They just had the wrong limit up there.
Gotta work!
Oh, yeah, he talked to it. There's a big, big double. 27-pin lead at this point. He won the first game, if you just joined us, 268 to Tim Weisbrod's 156. We've got to show you our detective. Would you trust this man? I would. You bet.
Well, it's up to Pedersen to trust this ball right now, because if he strikes on this shot, he shuts out Amleto, Monacelli, and he'll go against the lefty, Hugh Miller.
You can count on it when Randy gets to the line, the release is done, and he starts walking away, that it's a strike. What confidence in his ability.
Just tremendous, has that high arm swing. He's very loose and relaxed, trusted that ball wide, and it is proven himself to be a great clutch bowler also on the Pro Bowlers Tour. So it's going to be Randy Pedersen against a two-time winner of this tournament, lefty Hugh Miller, in the semifinal.
So despite what he thought of that last shot, he has won the second game. Coming up, we'll be back, of course, with this match, Miller-Pedersen.
Today's bowling tip of the week is on a problem I call follow-through fear. It's a problem that many amateurs have, and even top professionals when they're under pressure. And it goes something like this. A player's in good position with just a half a step to go to release the ball. He's afraid of missing the head pin to the right, so he pulls the ball left of the intended target line, hits the nose. Or he gets up to the foul line in good shape and he panics. He's afraid of getting a split, and he throws the ball too far to the right. Now let's take a look at an example of both these types of follow-through fears. First, the ball that is pulled to the left. A player goes inside the target line, often gets a split. Or the opposite is true. A player gets to the foul line in pretty good shape, then he's afraid of getting a split, so he sends the ball way wide to the right, often missing the head pin. Now here's a way to overcome follow-through fear. When you're practicing, take your 4.5 step delivery as I do, and just before you release the ball, close your eyes, and you watch how often your follow-through will go right along the intended target line. Here we go. There you can see how it works. Overcome follow-through fear by practicing closing your eyes in the last half a step, and you'll improve your game.
Randy Pedersen of California now has 16 strikes and 2 victories, 230 and 7 strikes in his win over Monacelli, who shot a 208. Now a man who has won twice here at Quaker State. His last win was in 1984, right here. Left-hander Hugh Miller. He's going against Randy Pedersen in our semifinal match as they continue to practice and warm up here. And our tournament leader, whom you saw last week in the Pinole Open, he was 4th last week, Don Genalo. Our next 2 stops, Nelson. Back to New Orleans area.
Kenner's stop is a new spot, and that's a very high-scoring house. And on to Sunrise, Florida for another Don Carter Bowling Center, the Budweiser Classic. A little bit of warm weather coming our way, and we had a 160-man field here. The whole field averaged 204, 212 to make the top 24. And here's some of the other finishers. Stayrook, the lefty, Walter Ray, Purvis Granger heading home next week. Mark Wood, Firestone champion. Butch Soper every week. Jimmy Pritz Jr., good check. David Husted, he was in the championship round this year in Vegas. Rick Steelsmith on the comeback. Pete Weber, Abode in 15th. Bob Benoit, the 300-man here at the Quaker State. Ernie Schlegel, former president of the PBA. Andy Nyer. Jeff Bellinger returning to the tour, the big guy. John Mazza, the good practicer, and the cranker Bob Hanley. Steve Hoskins, Rookie of the Year. Brad Snell, another lefty. And Dave Ferraro rounded out the top 24.
Quaker State Open, 14th one here at the Forum Lanes. Company that loves motorsports and bowling. Here's a professional that loves both, Hugh Miller of Seattle. Oh, he got a nice late break on the left lane. Winner in 80 and 84 right here.
Watch the action on the right-hand part of your screen. The head pin will go to the sideboard, then just he shot straight across the lane and take out the 7. A great break for Hugh Miller starting the semifinal match against a hot Randy Pedersen.
So we're all even after one match.
Re-rack, please. Re-rack, please.
6 pin, second pin on the right-hand part of your screen. In the channel, a lot of power and spin on it. Still taps out to 10. This week we're using 3-pound 6 and 7-ounce pins, but with plenty of hook at the back end, the players are making them dance.
And this is the man that's danced the most, 268 in his first victory, and 230 over Monacelli's 208. with the 2 sleeper 8.
The 2-8, you see every day or every frame, the ball carries a little bit farther down the lane before hooking, and that's what they have to guard against. Watch the angle, still around the first arrow. Now the ball goes farther and farther down the lane before hooking. He leaves the 2-8 double wood spare. Tough shot. Something you have to guard against always in bowling today is what we call oil carry down. Watch that ball hooking less.
Not too much.
Okay. Waiting in the wings is tournament leader Don Genalo, who likes the top seed spot. He's been very successful from there. Here's Hugh Miller now with a strike up. Left a 4-pin. He had a shoulder separation, his right side, and also a fracture of the arm, but he's come back, and he sustained it by helping to remove his father's sailboat from the water.
Good spare shooter.
Accurate and consistent, right?
Well, Chris, he never lost a game in the championship round. When he came out on the PBA Tour, his first 6 appearances on national television, he won every single game, and he had never missed a spare at that time. Then in 1986, he missed the 1-3-7-9 in Peoria, and he's missed a few spares since then, and his record has dropped to 9 wins and 6 losses. So he's just 3-6 when he's been a little bit wild.
There was a beautiful strike. Hugh is 33 years old. Randy is 27.
Randy started bowling at the age of 8. He told me his first year average, 93.
Oh, hanging precariously
Stayed on
the rim of the channel.
Jesus.
He's talking to himself and to his opponent. Watch how wide this is, almost out to the very last board. Not enough speed, drifts high. He was 16 miles an hour on that shot, and he's been 18 in previous shots when he struck.
2-time winner this afternoon, Randy Pedersen. He has a total of 7 titles, including a major event, the 87 National Championship in Toledo.
Randy got his start on the PBA Tour by selling shares in himself, $750 a share, and he has rewarded many of his backers with that. As you see, the wide grip of a quick starting Randy Pedersen.
Get there.
Okay, Randy Pedersen with a strike in the 4th. Trailing by 2, however. We'll be back. College basketball doubleheader on ABC tomorrow. Here is Homer Ellenberg, president of Quaker State Oil and Refining Company, who have sponsored this tournament for 14 consecutive years. On the right, Byron Nelson and his wife Peggy, wearing one of the gold medals that he won with a 1937 victory at Augusta.
Golf legend, 1945, 11 PGA tournaments in a row, 18 in a single year. A record I believe will never be broken.
Cherished colleague for years and years and lots of tournaments. And Hugh Miller from Seattle with a strike up, shooting in the 4th frame, leaving the 2-pin.
Really struggling on the right-hand lane. He struck solid in the pocket on the left-hand lane in the 1st and 3rd frames and has drifted high on the right-hand lane in both the 2nd and 4th frames. Luckily has come away with an easy spare to make.
Who just joined us, Randy Pedersen defeated Tim Weisbrod of Cincinnati 268 to 156, and then eliminated Amleto Monacelli 230 to 208. Pedersen now trailing by a couple of pins as he goes against Hugh Miller.
Hugh Miller, another dedicated athlete, loves to run, runs 8-10 miles a day, and has completed a 26-mile marathon, so he's in top shape all the time.
And any off time, he heads to Idaho and works on his grandmother's ranch, so you know that he's fit. Randy keeps in shape by driving his 944 Porsche in California. Randy is mic'd. And if he can get beyond Hugh Miller and into the final game, you may hear some incessant talking.
Randy Pedersen, who has opted for different color shoes simply because the left shoe was not sliding enough for him that matches that right red one. So he took the left one, which slides a little bit more, and watch the long slide. Nice and smooth. Perfect. He's got it like this, one of his best shots of the match.
So was that by Hugh Miller. But it's Pedersen with the lead by 8 pins by virtue of 3 in a row.
Key shot for Hugh Miller there, Chris, where if he had made another bad shot on the right-hand lane, he'd have opened up the game for Randy Pedersen. Randy not worried about what the lefty's doing. Miller can take the lead with another strike.
Robbed a 7-pin.
If it looks like Hugh Miller's ball is not hitting as hard as Randy Pedersen's, it's very true. Not only does he have not as much power as you see it out there on the first board as Randy Pedersen, but he's also using a plastic ball, or what we call a polyester bowling ball. And I haven't seen anybody win a pro tournament in many years with one of these little bit softer hitting balls.
All right. Randy Pedersen leading Hugh Miller, the left-hander, by 9.
New Orleans on ABC's Pro Bowlers Tour next Saturday.
New Orleans next week, and now one of the grand ladies of all of Texas, Jeannie Halsey, proprietor of Forum Bowling Lanes. What a loyal and cherished friend.
Great history of tournaments here. We've had the 1975 National Championship here, and the Quaker State has been the home many years. Forum Bowl. Now Randy Pedersen leads by 9, has 3 strikes working, can extend that lead to 19 here in the 7th.
Crossing over, leaving a 3.
As you see his style from the front view, Randy Pedersen wasn't quite that quick, but his feet were as he leaves the 3-pin and avoids the split. You know, Chris, a player does not mind throwing the ball a little wide, trusting it, and not getting a strike, but he hates to pull the ball like Randy just did. That's very discouraging. That's one of the big killers in professional bowling, is to pull the ball high and get a split.
And your tip today, follow through fear, had a lot to do with that, and I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
A little mixer by Randy Pedersen of Santa Maria, California. Close match. Miller with the spare-up will be shooting in the 8th.
Watch the action of the head pin. Takes out the 4, 7, and 8 pins. And here's a tough customer up here in the 8th frame. He struggled on this lane, though.
And for the left-hander, a 3 and sleeper 9.
Looks a little bit upset at himself, and Hugh Miller is a speed control bowler. As you see his ball out there on the first board, if he goes a little bit high, he'll throw it harder. If he comes in a little light, as he did on this shot, leaving the 3-9, he'll throw the next shot a little bit slower, and that technique is just not working for him so far today.
Coming up to the big 9th frame for both.
Miller, a 2:07 pace. Pedersen, 2:17. The match will be determined in the last 2 frames. As you see the grip, the full grip, of Hugh Miller.
Winner today of the Quaker State, 28,000, runner-up 14.5. Thus far, Tim Weisbrod, 6,000, and Amleto Monacelli, 7. Loser of this game, 8,500.
This game's going right to the 10th frame.
Matching Hugh Miller's Foundation Ninth Strike, our semifinal match.
Randy, the big stretch, the big follow through, and he's got to like that as all 10 pins were driven straight back in the pit. Now here in the 10th frame with a strike, he can lock out Miller. If he doesn't strike, Miller can still win the match.
No!
7.
No!
Boy, he threw a good shot on that lane, too, and he just left the swishing 7-pin. Now, Pedersen with a spare will be at the 226 pace. The head pin just does not quite get the 4 and 7 pins. He knows he's throwing this well. Randy Pedersen, a strike would mean 226. Hugh Miller can still bowl 227.
So 310 on the left lane. 224.
Now, Hugh Miller must strike on the next 2 balls and get an 8 count to win. He has only struck 1 time on this lane.
And there it is, a 7-pin. So Randy Pedersen now, starting in the very first match, has 1-3, earning the right to go against Don Genalo for the 28,000. ABC Sports presentation of professional bowling will be back after this message and a word from our local ABC stations. Thank you, Frank, and we look forward to Wide World today. Boxing and Bill Shoemaker's last ride. Okay, riding high here is Randy Pedersen of California. He won that last match. Gives him a right to go to the finals. Let's learn more about him up close and personal. In the quiet community of Santa Maria, California, lives a not-so-quiet bowler named Randy Pedersen. He's not a subdued Californian, and he's not your average bowler. No, Randy might better fit in with the cast of Saturday Night Live.
I really don't know why people think I'm funny or crazy. I don't understand where they get that idea. Jump back, want to kiss myself. Hey! No, Norman, what do you mean you don't know how to pick up strawberries? You just bend over and pick them up, you boob. I was married for 2 years. That would be like Club Med. Ah! Nurse Ratchet, can I have my cigarettes, please? Who can make the sun rise? Oh, the candy man can. The candy man can, 'cause he mixes it with love. And I mean that, babe. You won't work in this town, babe. I think the reason why I joke and fool around and kid the way I do is because, to me, that's how I get the most out of life.
Randy's outgoing personality and love for life is even more remarkable given the circumstances in which he was raised. His parents were divorced when he was very young. His mother passed away several years ago, but he continued to live with his grandpa.
Everybody's got problems. There's tragedy all over the world. And I think in a way that's why I'm funny all the time.
Randy Pedersen, a delightful professional.
You know, I heard once that it's really healthy to laugh, and I got to be a real healthy guy then because I'm laughing all the time. and I mean that, babe.
Wow. Okay, there he is. Fans here loved it. And I'm sure if Byron Nelson, who is here, were to analyze that golf swing, he'd have an 8 or a 9 on a ranking of 10.
I believe so. Randy Pedersen, a 4 handicap golfer. And Byron obviously enjoyed that piece, and we're going to have a great championship match here. Don Genalo has only lost 1 time from the top position in his career, and Randy Pedersen has never missed throwing a strike when he needed it for a title. So 2 tough players.
Don's shot coming up a little high, leaving the 6. Like Randy, Don is wearing a wireless mic. And with boxing, Foreman Cooney and McCallum Collins on Wide World today, I'd describe Don Genalo as a fighter type. I mean, he's in there battling all the time.
He doesn't give you any slack.
Native of Long Island now, bowling out of Perrysburg, Ohio.
Oh, buddy. A lot of work to do.
Well, as you see, 240 average in 3 games, and now.
Well, he just eased up the speed a little bit. The 6-7-10 split. He's quickly up on the approach, and he has to get that ball over by the 6 pin, slide that 6 pin over into the 7.
All out. And it's an open frame to start out his 4th match of the afternoon, the championship game.
Just slides by the 6 pin. He thought he had it made. Just had to clip the edge of the 6. Didn't quite do it. Actually cut it too close. You know, a statistic that bodes well for Don Genalo is the tournament leader has not lost once this year. He's won all 3 times. He won in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and Pinole Valley. And right now, Randy Pedersen is trailing.
Randy getting all the leaves now. Here is one on the left lane. Awesome.
And here's how he got that shot. He started that ball out over the first arrow, a little bit soft again, down around 15 miles an hour. He cuts right through the middle with that big hook, leaves the 3, 4, 6, 7, 10. Has to slide the 3 over into the 4, 7 zone. Ball will take out the 6 and 10 pins.
Very professional shot, but not the result. So we have back-to-back open frames for this man. His opponent, Don Genalo.
Genalo, with one of the biggest hands in professional bowling, stretches that hand all the way over the bowling ball. Almost a 6-inch span between the thumb and fingers. Yet he rolls a very smooth, straight shot.
Come on. Oh, no, no, no.
Well, he avoided the split.
Well, if he had been rolling the big hook, he'd have had a 4-9 split there. But you see just the gentle hook of Genalo doesn't break as sharply as some of the other players. He trips out the 9 pin, almost gets the 4. Accuracy is what he has to count on.
The man that's 5-0 is the top steed over his career. And here you see a final score. UNLV, 12th ranked. Downing, North Carolina State, 88-82.
The only time Genalo has been defeated in a championship match was in Los Angeles when he defeated it himself. He thought he needed 2 strikes to win the tournament. He got 1 strike and a 5-pin count. As you see the long span of Genalo, he blew the 5-pin count and gave the title to Jimmy Pritz.
Hook up, hook up.
Probably Genalo coaxes the bowling ball more than anybody on tour, as you just heard him.
A little bit light, has the 2, 4, 5, and 8 standing, gets a great break, knocking out all the pins but the 5 pin.
Okay, and Mary has come in from Perrysburg, Ohio to cheer her husband on. Their daughter Ann, 2 years of age as of yesterday. Happy birthday, Ann. time a 7-pin.
Well, we saw earlier in the telecast that big hook of Randy's coming back from the outside line and going solid in the pocket. Now, as we see the ball hooking less and less as the oil or conditioner in the lane is being carried farther and farther down the lane, you don't get the same amount of hook. Remember, we said it was applied 41 feet. It's probably down to about 45 feet right now.
Don't forget today, in addition to boxing, what's a re-rack, Randy Pedersen? The Legend's Last Ride, Bo. Bill Shoemaker, who was born in Fabens, Texas, and we did a lot of races that he rode in, including all his races with Gallant Man, even the Derby.
Well, he has a great record. The 98-pounder has 8,832 wins in 40,352 rides, and he's riding Patchy Ground Fog, the favorite in a race.
At Santa Anita, he won 322 stakes races. Whew. Still can't get a strike. He had 9 in the first game victory, 7 in the second, 6 in his third victory. Not one thus far.
9.
The lanes have changed. Randy, who started his strike ball, standing in the middle of the approach, now has moved the extreme left. Will throw it very hard, cross lane for the 10.
Okay, we're in the championship match of the $150,000 Quaker State Open in Grand Prairie. Look at the size of that crowd here at the Forum Lanes. Chandeliers and all. Ginny Halsey's establishment, and Don Genalo, who hasn't won since 1986, is our tournament leader. He's leading by 22 pins in the championship game. Now shooting in the 4th with the spare up. Well, he's getting some breaks, Bo. Breaking up splits.
Well, he dominated the field for 42 games and really advantaged Genalo. As you see his ball drifting a little bit high, he's playing what we call a track shot. In this particular bowling center, somewhere between the 2nd and 3rd arrows, there's a worn area where all the amateurs have played over the years, and he's playing that area where Pedersen's playing the extreme outside line.
Don and his brother Larry are very proud as we look at Mary Genalo of a new established pro shop at the Southwick Lanes in Toledo, Ohio.
Site of our national championship this year, we will be bowling at Imperial Lanes. Nobody has gotten a strike yet. 5th frame.
Title game.
Oh, nice shot.
And the man that did it told you the story. 310. Tough.
You know, when he bowled so poorly last week in the championship round, as you see his ball going high, leaving the 310 baby split, he said it was his fault. Now, today he said he hoped he'd have better timing, and right now he is still struggling. But you need to make splits like this, especially in match game competition, to keep the pressure on your opponent.
Oh, beautifully converted. Don Genalo. Now it's Randy Pedersen and Bo. He had 3 such brilliant games and not so good here now.
Struggling through Randy Pedersen, as you see the 310 being made right there.
He said the lane conditions had changed.
Well, on polyurethane surfaces like we have, Chris, the oil carries down instead of being absorbed into the lane. And that's just what happens. When the oil carries down, the player tries to help the ball up to make it break a little bit more, and then it hits the extreme dry the last 5 feet. He leaves the 3, 6, 9, 10. Difficult spare.
3 years ago. No idea.
Tough shot. Key pin's the 9-pin.
Randy Pedersen, Crippled Children's Hospital, Texas Wright Hospital benefits from this event. And in New York tomorrow, the Manhattan Class Company and Off-Broadway Theater is having a bowl-a-thon with all the soap opera stars from all 3 networks at Mid-City Lanes, the Port Authority building in Manhattan. So bowling does raise money for various causes and reasons. strike in his championship game. Striking the 6th by Randy Pedersen.
Randy makes the right move. You wonder what to do when the oil carries down, the ball goes high, light, high, light. Move a little to the right, throw it harder. He up the speed to 17 miles an hour. He may have the combination, but he still trails this man by 22.
Come on. Well, you made a good shot. That's the first time this week.
Well, let's see. He looked at his watch.
He was saying, what time is it? Because he made his first good shot of the match. Left the solid 10. Still has the lead, though.
Here's a man that won 5 of his 6 championships from the top spot, which he is today. Had a kidney removed in 1983, and 4 of his 6 titles came following that surgery.
Seemed to have no effect. And this match is perfect for Don Genalo. He's not a power player. He's not a strike player. He's a fill the frames player. Get a double here, protect it. Where Randy Pedersen, he loves to throw a ton of strikes, so the match is right in Don Genalo's alley.
Goodbye. Serve for Genalo. Leads the tournament and can't make one good shot on television.
Well, you heard him critiquing his shot as he drifts high, leaves the 4-7-10 split. Even though he may miss this, he'll still have a slight lead.
Probably if my quarter horse, McDade, whom I rode in early for you, Tonto, they'd probably both like to have him right now and ride away.
I agree. And Randy Pedersen, who has really struggled for the first 5 frames, has a chance out of the clear blue to take the lead with a strike here, 7th frame.
Remember, he was down by 22.
You gotta like it. I like that shot there. You saw the trajectory of Randy Pedersen, you saw the ball strike, and you saw his reaction. It told the whole story as he's taken the lead for the first time. Coming up in the 8th, he can extend that lead to 14. Watch the head pin. What a great break at an opportune time for Randy Pedersen. He has a 14-pin lead over Genalo.
8th frame.
Oh, God, go home. Forget it. I'm just phoning my loss on television.
Well, he's finally convinced himself through 8 frames that he's not bowling well on television. A little bit concerned, Mary.
Yes, there is pressure. It's been a one-game head-to-head match for all the marbles, and when you're on TV, it just adds a lot more.
But Genalo is used to that pressure, Chris. He is just not performing well in the championship round, and he has always done well before, and he's just beaten himself here. He doesn't have a strike through 8 frames, and he's had actually 3 bad shots in the last 4 frames with 2 opens.
Don's always talking
folks,
about...
that's as good as it gets when I'm on TV. Won 6 titles, can't make a good shot.
Okay.
Let's hear it for him.
Maybe he's not keeping his feet slow. He's always saying...
Like this.
He's got those big size 13D feet. You've got to slow him down, pal.
Beautiful form, covering the 2-4-5 here, but coming in that crucial 9th frame.
Randy Pedersen just needs 1 mark in the next 2 frames to win the tournament.
My Peggy Fleming, ice skater.
It was pretty graceful, that running out the shot.
Make spare.
He said to himself the proper thing, make the spare and the tournament's mine. The best Genalo can bowl is 177. Randy would guarantee himself a title with this spare.
God, was that a hard spare.
Randy Pedersen, who defeated Tim Weisbrod, then Amleto Monacelli.
Count. 8 and 9 out.
PBA vernacular for what he needs. 8 on the first ball and just one of the 2 pins. In other words, 9 out. Doesn't even have to convert to spare. Anything less than 8, he can still lose.
Ooh. Randy Pedersen, 27 years of age, his 8th PBA title. Don Genalo, blue eyes almost crying. Tough break for the tournament leader today. Let's now return to New York and Frank Gifford. 201 to 167, Randy Pedersen, 8th title. Lots of money for Randy, and there's the breakdown. Don Genalo 14.5, Miller 85, Monacelli 7, and Weisbrod of Cincinnati $6,000. Hugh Ellenberg is here, president of Quaker State Oil and Refining Company. Are you nervous?
No, I'm just glad it's over. I'd like to thank Homer Ellenberg and everybody at Quaker State for their support in our Quaker State Open. I'd like to thank everybody at Forum Bowl, Gene Halsey and Randy Halsey. And I figured if I didn't win this week, I'd get a job singing in the bar. So, and you fans are unbelievable. God bless you. I love you all. You fans are awesome. We'll see you next year.
Hugh, I know you have a trophy, and I want to call in Jeannie Halsey with a check.
Congratulations, Randy, on a great tournament. You worked hard today, and on behalf of Quaker State, we'd like to present you with this trophy here on lucky number 7, I understand, for you.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Yeah.
Jeannie, great tournament for you.
Thank you very much. And Randy, here's your check I'm pleased to give to you for $28,000 and your Quaker State Open champion.
What next, young man? New Porsche?
No, I gotta pay off the old one. I'm gonna try to get my hand back in shape for next week. I don't know how I won. You know, my hand was torn up. I had a cold. I still have a cold. Don't get too close to me, Chris.
First 3 games were bad.
First 3 games, it was like somebody different. And then the last game, I showed up. See.
Goodbye, pal. Okay, see you next week. Goodbye from Grand Prairie.
The Pro Bowlers Tour has been brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The Big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will. By Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when. And by NyQuil, in original and cherry flavors. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.